What we're talking about is the decade of change and how that change is, how remarkable that change has been in the last 10 years. What was a few years ago not at all unexpected, or certainly not now to see a young girl at her computer today, 10 years ago would have raised a couple of eyebrows. What is amazing for me, however, is to see an Eskimo using his GPS in order to hunt whales and seals in the Arctic, and that is a surprising shift in technology that affects us, that affects peoples in so many different ways. And I'm just as surprised, really, although I don't know why, to see a fellow in western China in Xi'an riding along on his bicycle with a cell phone at his ear. Probably the most shocking of all, however, is to see some middle-aged white guy working on his wireless as he's traveling across the country. And that's really, in many ways, what we're going to talk about today, and that is those folks that run, that are running professional service firms, those that are part of the executive management, how people find those individuals, whether they're lawyers or accountants or consultants, in any number of ways. We had done this research originally in 2000 called Finding and Working with Lawyers on the Web, and we tried to replicate a number of the questions that we had for them then, and of course things have changed so much in those past 10 years that we have a whole new layer of questions that were never even conceived of at the time, particularly around social media and other forms of connectivity where people have gone away from their computer and gone mobile. And so we're going to talk about some of those research results as well. We have always done this research for the following reason, and that is, as reflected by Stephen Colbert, because folks really are more involved in their opinion of things than the actual facts themselves. So Stephen says, I'm not a fan of facts. The facts can change, but my opinion will never change, no matter what the facts are. Another way of thinking about the issues that relate to people's really, their inability to conceive that other people are on the internet searching for professionals is a common thinking error that says, because I don't do it, no one else does. But we'll find out from this research that we can replace opinion with fact, and we can learn exactly what people are doing on the internet. Some notes on the demographics. A couple of things. Our respondents' annual revenues reflect the typical professional service firm client distribution. That is to say, these are our respondents from corporations about finding and choosing professionals. And these are their average revenues. If you look at a typical consulting firm or law firm's revenue client base, you'll discover that they actually fit within this model pretty much, as we've seen over the past 30 years, follow the same client audit would give you this similar kinds of numbers. The good news for this presentation is that our respondents are broadly distributed across all age groups. And in fact, when you get to their answers to individual areas, they are pretty much follow that same kind of distribution curve, although Sue's going to point out some anomalies within that demographic. But you might expect, for example, the 24 to 40-year-olds to be much more online than the 51 to 69. We're going to see some surprising results from this research. I would like to have everyone walk away with this message. It's really a critical and a key message for all of us, and that is that your buyers are always changing, and they're changing in a number of different ways. They're changing in their sophistication. They're changing in their age, obviously. They're growing older. They're changing their demographic. So that results in changing behavior, and we want to talk a little bit about how that behavior is changing, see that, but it's just because we grew up with one kind of buyer in mind, as we grow older, we have to realize that our buyers are growing older too. What we learned is that whatever one's age, decision makers head to the web for resources. So whether it's age 24 to 40, 41 to 50, and 51 to 69, they're all on the internet. By the way, some of these slides may provoke some questions. I think it's probably more comfortable, given our slow start, that we jump through this material and take questions at the very end, or you can write in questions. We'll make sure that we answer them at some point in this presentation. We also want to take a look at not just who the decision makers are now, but just project out slightly, just a couple of years into the future, who our decision makers are. We see down in the red quadrant here the boomers, ages 48 through 64 at that time, that is 2 years hence, make up 38% of the population, and thank you to the Great Recession, will probably still be working when they might otherwise wish to retire. Gen X at age 32 to 47 are right in the middle of that decision making, those folks that are really the up-and-coming decision makers and are the active decision makers today. And I know that many of you have heard from lawyers and consultants and the like that their buyers are getting younger and younger as they age. So they're finding that a lot of their buyers are in that Gen X category. For Gen Y, age 22 to 32, up and coming in 2 years, are the millennials. And so it's an interesting demographic. We're going to see people who were basically nursed on a computer, understanding everything about going online, and for many of us is learned behavior over many, many years. You'll find that these folks have just picked it up and are living with it naturally as breathing. So we're going to look at how their behavior has changed. I'm going to turn it over to Sue and she's going to give us some of the details of the study.
First, we asked how often these buyers use the internet for purposes other than email, and the answer is daily. So every day is an opportunity to be seen by your prospects and your clients. But you should know exactly what they're doing online. So we asked to what extent the internet has replaced other methods they've used for research of any type, news, personal purchases, and business purchases. And first, let's look at the research of any type. If you look at the green slice of the pie, that's about a third who say the internet has completely replaced other methods they've used. The gold slice is about half who say the internet has mostly replaced other methods they used for research, and the rest say that it's somewhat replaced. It's about the same story for news, and we'll talk more about that in a bit, the importance of it. For personal purchases and business purchases, we've got 42% and 37% who say that the internet has replaced other methods mostly or completely.
I wanted to just show you a couple of examples. And by the way, Sue and I are going to be like click and clacking throughout this presentation. We'll just interrupt each other freely. But I was looking at these results and said, okay, how's my behavior changed? What do I do? What's different about how I'm doing and what do I do naturally? So I'm thinking I'm sick of 54 inches of snow in the Washington area, and I'd love to be somewhere else. So I pops to mind, I got friends who've been to Costa Rica, so I type in resorts in Costa Rica, and I immediately get these kinds of results that give me the overview of what I can do in Costa Rica. That begins my research. So that's the research that I would do in order to find a place to vacation. Getting my news, I wanted to find out what's going on lately in Haiti after the quake, so I type in disaster in Haiti, and I got, of course, pages and pages. I just selected this one from the Los Angeles Times, but I know if I want to get material that's very, very current, or I want to back up and get the whole history of it, I can grab it off the web. I can tell you that there is probably a large box leaving Greenfield-Belser every single day that's filled with shoes that are on their way back to Zappos. And that by the way, we've got not just the folks that are online, but our entire studios here today listening to this presentation, so it's a seminar and a webinar. But this is a mode of behavior in terms of online shopping that people don't even think about anymore, and particularly when you use the brilliant strategy that Zappos has, which is no charge for returning them what you don't like. It makes shopping even easier than going into a store.